Jim. He's dead.
Hello, I'm Stephen Cadwell. Welcome to Improv Autopsy and part 2 of my interview with improviser, member of Offsides, SAC professional ensemble member, and my friend, Jennni McIntire. There are some links in the show notes to some random things we've done together, and some bonus Offsides content for those folks over at Patreon as well if you're interested. Everything is free over there, and if anyone were to deign to pay, they'd get the same stuff. Enough self-promotion, let's get on to part 2 of Jennni McIntire's Improv Autopsy. Okay, I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to do my Proust questionnaire. So you've probably heard these if you've been listening at all, but...
Yep. I don't remember any of them. I'm going in blind, people. Going in blind.
Usually...
I'll remember when you say it, but...
That's usually the case. It's people like, oh yeah, I've listened to these and I've forgotten all of them. Jennni, how do you get into the proper headspace to play?
I think I like my drive to SAC. It's kind of something that I've been doing for years. And as you're making that drive, it just kind of, my brain starts to adjust and think, you know, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have fun and to play. And like many of others have said, I just enjoy talking with the cast and seeing how they're doing, talking about goings on, trying to keep the vibe light. But, you know, sometimes things do get serious because, you know, life can be serious sometimes. So if we're supportive of one another, but yeah, I just enjoyed chatting and talking, and sound check is also great. We just get in there. I think that the new space, one of the things that I've really enjoyed is how close the tech is now, that you can just talk with them. So I enjoy talking with the tech, and also the musician is there on stage with us. So just those things are help me get in the good space to play.
Do you have to take the tollway at all to get to?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So at what point in your evolution did driving those roads become calming versus something that created anxiety?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because the time that I go to SAC is like 5:30, and I'm going toward downtown from the east, not away from downtown. And so it is generally not a lot of traffic unless there's a big game. But even then, I know my way so much. I know the route. And so it's just automatic. And as soon as I start getting off the exit to go on Rosalind, I'm just like, all right, yeah, going to do this. So I don't know, that helps me, just the routine of it. It does throw me off if there's a lot of traffic, though. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I even park in the old garage and not the new garage, so I can just kind of walk downtown as long as it's not raining.
Yeah.
Just the walk routine. I like that.
I was relieved they still validate for the old garage. So even though it's now like Larry's parking,
they do. I know. Yeah. Still can get $4 parking. But again, I'm going to pay that $10 if it's raining.
Yeah. Jennni, what is your favorite your favorite ask?
The one that I use the most is, I say, other than fast food or retail, what is a job that you either quit or were fired from?
Ah.
And so, like, I just did that one last night, and we got, the person just said septic. That's all they said, which is great. Septic. All right. So I enjoy that. One I did last night that I had not done, that I'm going to keep playing with to see if it gets me what I want, because it did last night. I just said, think of your favorite book or TV show, and like the scene that stands out to you the most, what's the location of that scene?
Oh, nice.
And we got Dungeon, and it was really fun. It was me and Greg Coleman, and we kind of looked at each other because we're like, all right, Dungeon. But I just looked at him. Very rarely do I plan before a scene. Normally I'm like, I don't look at the other player. I just wait for the lights to go out. But he had a smirk, like he didn't want to make it uncomfortable. And so I just said both. And so when the lights came up, we were both shackled. Right. So, which made it better because we were then, you know, being held hostage. There was nothing kinky going on or anything.
Yeah.
But it was just so funny. So again, I don't normally plan anything before, but he just looked like he needed some sort of reassurance. And I'm like, just both. So
I love that because the It's locations are fun, but if you're just asking for location, you get the same ones over and over
Oh,
again
yeah.
because, I was just talking with Adam Bellis, who was talking about setting some boundaries in order to kind of free the imagination,
Yes.
so that when you do that, then they can be, then it's not just bowling alley Disney World.
Yeah. Or
Uh,
Hawaii, like the state of
yeah,
Hawaii. I'm like, "All right." You
which
know?
island? Come on. When you ask for the profession,
Mhm.
how do you avoid the temptation to make those about getting fired or quitting? Or do you find that that doesn't
Oh.
pop up as much?
Yeah, I think that generally when we've had workplace, I like it because I mean, I guess it sometimes can be quitting, but it's not quitting because of the job. It's usually the relationship. Like these are coworkers who have become really close friends, or yeah, it just becomes the place where you can experience the relationship between the people
Yeah.
there. But that does tend to happen in the occupation scenes, I'm not gonna lie. I know, I've been thinking about that, and, one time I also asked I was trying to get a genre because sometimes the game of the scene is, genre coaster or scene in a genre, but I was like, "Well, I can make any scene a scene in a genre if that's what I get for my get for,"
Yeah.
which I really enjoy because I will say that I think lately we haven't had as many, what do I wanna say, just kinda whimsical scenes where it's not set in real life, like, where animals could talk.
Except the
Maybe.
chickens.
Or that's I remember we would talk about scenes where we were, you were animals, like, I think one time I said, "We're not humans in this scene, what are we?" And I don't even remember what the suggestion was, but it's fun because whatever animal or inanimate object they give you, it's like you're gonna do a scene and you can talk, but, it's like what matters to them, which is such a fun thing. It's like you've gotta
Yeah.
figure out what is it the same thing that matters to humans? Is it slightly
I feel
different?
like Offsides had a run. I feel like it was at your old
Mhm.
house
Yeah.
where we did inanimate objects, a
Oh,
run of, like,
yeah.
I inanimate object stuff, and those were so much fun.
Oh, I remember we were credit cards one time in a drawer, and I tell my students when I was teaching, I was like, "You can be anything." Remember 5 things, the game 5 things,
Yeah.
and you would just it's 5 things a blank would say, right? And I was just like, "Hey, do occupations, maybe do." I also would love to get a get for, or I would love to see a roller coaster that's not emotions, but I don't know, you gotta help me with this, but it's like characters like nosy neighbor, drunk coach, or just like I don't know, like these different characteristics that you're taking on rather than like emotions,
Yeah, like,
like a
well, I mean,
character roller coaster or something.
yeah, and, so, I mean, what you were saying made me think of sitcom, but it wouldn't have to be sitcom, but, like, what are some sitcom archetypes?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Which I think would be fun because I mean, I love a psycho or, emotional roller coaster, but I do think it would be fun because that's one of the things I liked about the game 5 Things is that I said it's helpful sometimes if you're just, like, not just a neighbor, but a nosy neighbor, or not just a grandma, but a doting grandma,
Yeah.
and just to get that. Richard did a get for asking for our names. Just name us in the scene, and that's what we were, and that was fun too
Oh,
because
yeah,
it's
that does
just
sound fun.
a name does evoke some sort of, I don't know, character, whatever
Yeah.
your take on it.
Yeah, a Eunice is much different than a Gloria.
It absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I asked about the professional one only because I retired my Walmart get where I mentioned Walmart because invariably the scene would be in Walmart,
Mhm.
and, it's like, "No, no, that was just the get, and I didn't
Mhm.
want a scene in Walmart," but it's just the draw was just too much,
Yeah. No, I
once
get that. Yeah,
you
'cause
plant that seed, but,
yeah.
I think, it makes sense that I didn't think it would be the same, the same magnetic or amount of magnetic draw
Mhm.
for the profession one, but
Yeah.
do you currently have a least favorite suggestion?
I mean, anything that is super vague with locations, they'll say, yeah, Hawaii or although, listen, we did numbers last night. And the suggestion for the numbers, the overall theme of numbers was Oklahoma. And we knew so little about Oklahoma, but it was hilarious. But it was hilarious because of the just uh how lacking our Oklahoma knowledge was. Um so yeah, even a bad suggestion we can make great. But yeah, anything that's just like that standard, I'll be back, I'm pregnant for lines from the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could, yeah, just never do that one again. I mean, but again, sometimes it comes up in the scene and it's perfect. So who am I to say? Who am I to judge?
Remind me what numbers is?
Numbers is where you get on the back wall and the host will number you off. And rather than like
Oh,
blind freeze, yeah, they just call out a different varying numbers and then you start a scene and then the
right.
host will end it. So kind
Got
of
it.
a warm up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of bad suggestions, do you have a favorite way to burn a suggestion that doesn't inspire you?
Yeah, well, again, I do burn that one other than fast food or retail because
Yeah.
I'm just like they will say McDonald's, they will say I got Gap so much. Gap isn't even a thing anymore, and I feel like they would always suggest it. Publix, I love Publix. Listen, I went there today, Publix, but Publix as a suggestion, I'm just like walking around with a shopping cart. Or I know sometimes when we used to do we do psycho interview a lot now, but psycho date, I used to say, I need, I'm going on a date with this person. Please send me someplace nice. Please do not send me to Olive Garden or, Taco Bell or Starbucks, like a nice place. So sometimes I will get it that way. Just like beg them, please send me someplace nice.
Yeah.
So I think those are the only things that I usually try to throw out immediately.
I think I may have utilized this in the form that was presented to me, but there's got to be a way to play with it as well. And maybe the way to play with it is exactly what you're doing with the especially that one with the send me someplace nice. But I think it was Lauren Pritchard who said that she really enjoys Shakespeare.
Mhm.
And so if you're doing a genre thing or whatever, and you say, "Hey, what's a style of theater?" You never know what they're gonna throw at you. But if you say, "What's a style of theater?" They will shout Shakespeare.
Right.
Like
Yes, yes.
she can get them to say Shakespeare in how she asks
Oh, yeah.
for the type of theater, which I thought was very fun.
Yeah. That is fun.
What do you look for in an audience volunteer?
Honestly, willing. I will take usually the willing person. I almost always, when I ask for volunteers, I ask for willing volunteers. But I will tell you this, again, as you grow and you just have done this so many times, we had a lady last night who you're gonna love this. Okay. I feel bad if you're gonna interview anybody else who was in last night's show because they're gonna want to tell this story, but I'm telling it. Okay. I get it. So we're Amanda Wirtz is hosting, and we come out. The teams have been introduced, and we go to our sides, and Amanda's doing something, and all of the sudden, or she might have introduced Michael playing in the booth, and then this lady from the second row just goes, "Who's that guy?" and just pointed to the musician, Chris Levy. And she's like, "Well, if you would give me a second, because we were getting ready to do Blues Line." And I wonder, Amanda might have set it up then, but this lady, "Who's that guy?" Just out of nowhere, loud enough for everybody to hear. And we made it this bit. So we found out the lady's name was Chris. And so it was funny. I actually did not have any willing volunteers for columns. Richard and I were playing columns. He found one person who raised their hand and nobody else was raising their hand, which rarely happens.
Yeah.
There's always somebody, but they were, I don't know, they put all their hands down. And I was just like, all right. I'm like, Chris, we know your name now. Get up here. And so I just called her up. She was not willing, but I mean, she was so sweet. She was very funny and very playful. So it was a good scene, but it was just fun because I knew her name. I was like, all
Yeah.
right, this is easy. Get up
Never
here.
give an improviser your name.
No. No.
Can you describe your onstage persona? How is onstage Jenni different than offstage Jenni?
She's, yeah, she's a little sillier than I am. And real life and just very much just wants to play and have a good time. I do a lot of explaining if I feel like the joke was not uh it was okay, but I want to say more about it. For example, la- yesterday we had Oklahoma, and I just came out and I said, "Man, that's a lot of land." And the person who was in it wanted to buy it from me, so I brought out a scroll and unfurled it and said, "Here, can you sign this with your quill pen?" And she called me out of the scene, called it out of the scene. And when I go back, I go, because in Oklahoma they use quill pens." And she's like, "Enough," like just wanting to explain it more. Even that when they laughed the first time, I don't know, just
Yeah.
but playfully, never like I'm that, you know, s- clever or smart, but just like, but you see,
Yeah.
just like I want them to enjoy it. Just I want everybody to have a good time.
Yeah. It's the joy of following the improv logic and wanting to
Yes, explain
share
it.
that with
Yes.
others. Yeah.
Yeah.
What inspires you on stage?
What inspires me on stage is something that I'm not expecting. And that's the hard thing I think about being a seasoned improviser is very little throws you, right? Because you've trained yourself to not be thrown by anything and to yes and whatever suggestion. So when somebody makes a choice, even when I make a choice that I'm like, where did that come from? I love it.
Yeah.
I just think it's so great. And, that's when they kind of say that the magic happens. And of course, the audience is having a great time regardless because we're professionals and we know what works and we want them to have a good time. But when we on stage can be surprised by something, I can't even think of an example, but I'm just like those moments where somebody will respond to what you just said and it was just not what I was expecting at all. And I'm pretty good at not breaking, but when that happens, I usually have to have a little chuckle because I'm like, man, I want to be able to laugh at this because it
Yeah.
was good. It was good. Yeah. So that's what inspires me. Like, okay, there's still more to be had on stage. We haven't done it all. We haven't done every scenario.
Yeah.
There's always another random scene that you couldn't concoct if you tried right now. Oh, I was gonna say, Richard, last night when we were talking about the dungeon scene, as it went on, so the 2 of us were locked up in the dungeon. It was an English to gibberish, but it was, like, so irrelevant that that was the game. I said, "This is what a great scene that we couldn't even remember what the game was on it." But it ended up being Richard came in as we were locked up in a dungeon, and he was trying to get us to switch to Spectrum. Um, and it was just such a fun offer, and he said, I write sketch," and he goes, "I think I'm gonna make that a sketch." So, again, sorry man, I'm burning a lot of things that people might wanna talk about later, so, but yeah, it was so fun.
I think, that makes sense in terms of why you like Gorilla so much as well, because I think Gorilla really was developed in a way where you would constantly be surprised.
Mhm,
The surprises were, um, kind of built in because you were confining things, putting things under pressure in some ways so
mhm.
that they would explode
Yeah,
in fun ways, but also you never knew how what you said as a director would be interpreted
right.
by the brains that were on stage, so that was another level of,
They did what they thought you wanted them to do.
yes.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
What shuts you down or takes you out of it on stage?
I try not to, like I said, but yeah, people yelling "die" you're just I again, it is one of those things like we're pretty confident. We put ourselves on stage, but sometimes when somebody's just like hating it, you're just like, "Oh gosh." So then I just, kind of go through the motions and make it the best scene I can, but it's like when I think the audience is not having a good time. Yeah, it does it. I'm like, okay, you got to try harder, and that's not good advice because you've got to just rely on what are the fundamentals of improv and just have fun. And so I get really frustrated when I get taken out of it because I'm like, oh, I need to be having fun. When you're having fun, the audience is having fun. But yeah, sometimes hard to tell yourself, have fun. Come on,
Yeah.
get it together. But yeah, again, less and less now. I tend to stay in it and just say, you know what? There's another scene. It's fine. There's another show. It's fine. And just say, have fun so the audience has fun.
Jenni, in your estimation, what makes a good scene partner?
Somebody who listens, kind of the standard when they're listening and building off of what you say. It's such a gift. But I will say also, like I just said, I love to be surprised. So when they take big swings, I think it used to make me nervous as an improviser because I didn't know what to do with those big swings, or I'm like, well, that seems out there. And there is such a thing as something that's not connected or, way too far out there. But if you're surprising within the parameters that have been set in the scene, yeah, so much fun. Or somebody who notices something that I did and is like, "Oh, I'm going to keep on that. I'm going to notice that and I'm going to push on that and keep that going." Yeah, that's those make the best scene partners, I think.
Do you have any advice that you would give to your younger self?
Yeah, I think I would tell younger Jenny to maybe push things a little bit more. I think I was super relaxed and just kind of wanted to, even though I said I didn't want to make like all the right decisions, I really did want to make all the right decisions. You want to do it. Improv was something that I was like, if I learn the skills, I'll be able to do it right. I can do this right. And now I think it took me a little too long to realize, oh, no, there is a way that's can be beneficial to do improv because it's things that we know work and keep the scene moving along and all of these things. But in general, there's way less rules to improv than you realize, right? There are quote unquote rules, but if you know the rules, you can break the rules, right? And I wish I just would have pushed a little harder at the beginning. So I would say just break out, have fun. Don't try to get it all right. It's boring. It's boring to watch.
Do you have a favorite type of character to play?
I don't know. I try to vary it up, although I do enjoy playing an elderly grandma. I do enjoy that. And then I also enjoy playing a guy on stage. I feel bad now that I think about it that most of my guys are not smart that I play on stage. So, apologies there. But yeah, I just love playing a dude and just doing dude things like chest bumps and all the things that I don't know, just that's a lot of fun to me to play on stage.
Have you had to do anything, or what have you had to do to prevent being pigeonholed as sister, mother, girlfriend, wife?
Mm. I think jumping first, making myself what I wanna be before they have a say, and also realizing that moms can be funny, sisters can be funny, grandmas, oh my gosh, I love playing a grandma. Grandmas are unhinged, and it's not because they're on medication, it's because their filters are gone, and that's but they're very but, the great thing about grandmas is that they are still what the nice thing about playing that's different than somebody, like, who is, not taking their medication is that grandmas are held high. You love your grandma, you wanna take care of your grandma, and grandma being heard is important because she's going to have things to say, so what she wants matters a lot in the scene. But yeah, I think that just naming yourself or coming out with a strong choice has can prevent you from being pigeonholed. Or if you are called that, then just like play the heck out of it, make choices that are not your typical of, wife, mother, sister, all those things. Yeah.
What other ways have you experienced sexism in improv, and how have you worked through that?
I am very fortunate. I don't feel like I have as much as others because two things. One, I think that when I started coming through SAC, I think there was just a group of women that I think were invited in, and I think you guys never treated me like, I don't know, I just never considered that I wouldn't be put in because I was a girl. And I think that also I had the benefit of, I grew up in a very big family, and there are a lot of women in my family, and there are a lot of loud, funny women in my family. I never considered that. I mean, I loved Laverne and Shirley, the Carol Burnett show. I mean, those were the go-to shows that I would watch. So I always thought women were very funny. I didn't know there were people who thought women, in some ways, I mean, I'm not naive, but I there was a lot, there were a lot of girls, I think sometimes in high school, that they would rather be liked than or think that they're all put together, but I always enjoyed getting a laugh. So I haven't noticed it as much. Now, that being said, because of who I was playing with, like offsides, and I think SAC started doing it a lot better because of our friends, like you guys really pushed, said they should be an ensemble. They should, and push that and push that. And I actually never thought it was because I was a girl. I was just thought, well, I must not be ready. But there were times I got so used to having shows with 2 to 3 to like the
Yeah.
majority female. So then when it wasn't happening and I was the only girl in shows, for whatever reason, there was this little pivot, and I'm like, "Oh, this is weird." Then I thought it was weird, rather than the opposite. So I've been very fortunate. I haven't experienced that as much. And like I said, I think some of that is how I grew up, and even in the drama troupe I was in college, I was always the pastor that wrote a lot of the plays and the scripts. Like, he thought I was very funny, and he would write funny things for me to do. And so I'm like, yeah, this is great. So yeah, I'm very fortunate that I haven't experienced it as much as others have. But it's good to be aware that it does happen.
Yeah. Do you ever feel it from the audience?
Yeah, there are times where, and you know what? Not necessarily even that I'm female, but there are times when I'm like, okay, they don't like me, and I don't know what it is, and I'm like, maybe I'll try to sway them, but I try not to go overly trying to correct or demand that from them. I try to earn it. But yeah, I've definitely felt that sometimes. I'm just like, "Oh, they not enjoying what I'm doing here." And so, but again, you just have to, then you'll have an audience literally the same night who are cracking up at everything you say. So I'm just like, I have learned early on that it's really, really difficult, but I try not to determine based on just one audience's reaction, my
Yeah.
improv worth, as it were.
Sound advice.
Everybody's got a bomb sometime,
Yeah.
right?
Jenni, if you could do a scene with anyone alive, who would it be?
I mean, I guess the first person that comes to mind would be like, oh man, I want to say like Tina Fey or Amy Poehler, but I'm just I this sounds terrible. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how they might eat me alive. No, I think I could hang, but yeah, I would enjoy just people who like I think of them in like their Golden Globe
Yeah.
that hosting, and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh." They just do it so well. They are just beloved and they can get away with so much. And so yeah, I think I would like to do a scene with one of them just to glean that fearlessness that they have because they really really do have that.
Yeah. All right, let's switch it up a little bit. If you could do a scene with anyone who's no longer with us, who would it be?
I would say, well, now I feel bad. All right, wait, hold on. Let me Google something. I don't want to say if they're really dead. Okay. Nope. All right. Well, they're still alive, I think. So I'm not gonna say that.
Was it Carol Burnett?
It was Carol Burnett. I'm like, I don't want to say it if she's still
Yes,
alive.
she is still.
Live long and prosper, Carol. All right, but let's see. Who would I enjoy? I was thinking back to I think Chris Farley. I would love to do a scene with Chris Farley. He was part of some of our favorite movies
Yeah.
Ryan and I had, and just like a joyful person, just fun. And I 100% think that what he would say on stage would not be what I would think and would be very surprising.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm going to go with Chris Farley.
All right. And the last switch up for this question. If you could do a scene with anyone fictional, who would it be?
Well, it feels like I would just want to be part of a show. So, this person would have been in this show. We do you remember the show Ed? It was like way back when. I can't even think of the guy who plays it, but we loved that show so much. So okay, now I got to Google it again.
I don't think I watched it, but I remember it being around.
Tom Cavanaugh. Do you remember that? One of the things that I remember about that is that the guy Ed and his best friend, who was Dr. Mike Burton, again, I'm Googling all this, they would do things like in the store, he would be like, they always had bets, and he would be like, I bet you that this entire time in the store, you have to call it lettuce instead of lettuce. And just like silly things like that. And they were grown adults, and I was just like, see, this is what I need, people who are still grown adults who still do these silly things just to make sure that life is fun.
Yeah. Jenni, what do you find most helpful from the booth?
I like lighting. I love lighting. Not that it's necessarily the most helpful every single time, but when they come up with some sort of lighting that casts and like scene paints without you having to scene paint, or like crickets in the background, or like there's some sort of wash they can do that looks like you're under trees or something. I really like that. And they don't do it too often unless the suggestion really really heavily suggests that would be the case.
Yeah.
But man, it's one of those things that sets us apart, I think, from a lot of other. I mean, I'm sure there's other improv shows that have amazing text, but I just feel like if the difference between doing improv somewhere else, not at our at the lab,
Yeah.
at our theater, and then what we can do in our theater is just so different, so much richer.
Yeah.
With the booth and their lighting.
We always kind of knew how spoiled we were at SAC, but then moving to Chicago, it was like, oh, we were really spoiled at SAC with
Yeah.
the support that we had from other places, both musician and tech booth. Second City is going to do their first improvised performance, like for an audience on the ETC stage. Instead of a review, it's going to be the next, I guess, in place of a review is going to be an improv show, which is
Oh, wow.
nothing Second City has ever done before. And I guarantee you that our SAC techs and musicians are going to, they've got some catching up to do before they're
Right.
able to reach the SAC level.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
What would you say would be least helpful from the booth?
So, and I think this is least helpful from not only the booth, but missing those blackouts. I feel like the last few weeks, and it can be for a variety of reasons, but missing the blackouts, or even blacking out too early again, and it's such a delicate balance. I mean, obviously we don't get it right either all the time, so you can't blame the booth. But man, when you have like just a great blackout and you're swinging for days, and
Yeah.
and they miss it, you're like, no, please, I would have like capped that scene perfectly. But again, generally speaking, it's usually because they're looking for something else to help you. Like, it's not
Yeah.
as if they're just like, oh, not paying any attention. They're either looking for something else they can do to help you, or they're enjoying the scene. Either one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm like, oh, and same from hosts and players, because players can black it out just as
Yeah.
well as hosts, or and just like, because that's one of the things that short form is a skill to black that
Yeah.
blackout. And I remember learning that when I was a teacher and would do the showcase with my students. And I was responsible, because I don't host on a regular basis at SAC, but I, hosted those shows for my students. And I'm like, I almost broke a finger blacking out one time. I was in the front doing a conducted story, and it was just such a good, I mean, these students, I mean, they crushed it, and it was such a good ender, but I was so close to an audience member, like probably a student from the other class. I swung so hard that I hit the top of their knee, but all of my fingers crushed together. I
Oh,
had to go to the concession stand and get a thing of ice to put my finger in, because I just did it so hard. So, blackouts are important, I guess, is what
yeah.
I'm saying.
That shared vocabulary too is so great
Yeah.
at SAC for like calling the blackout,
Yep.
and I'm it seems perfect for that. I'm sure there are other theaters might have other things that are equally as perfect.
Right, right.
Kayla and I did a show over near Detroit, and we have a little two-hander that we do, and we always tell the tech, like, hey, look, we know we have whatever 15 minutes, but if after 8 minutes it's perfect and you want to black us out, just black us out. So we'll leave it up to you. We'll just go until you black us out, and we're happy with leaving that in your hands, and that's great. Oh, great, great. That show ended up being like the Lord of the Rings. It ended like 4 times until finally Kayla was like, hey, and she did like this weird flashback thing to the beginning of the show, and we left the stage as if we'd just run out,
Oh my
so
gosh.
that we could leave the stage. And then after, the guy was like, oh yeah, sorry about that. The other the cast for the other show wasn't downstairs yet.
Oh,
So he was just waiting for them to
she's like, "You
appear.
gotta keep going, keep riffing, come
Yeah,
on."
so we must have done like 25 minutes, and we were like, what is going
When you were
on?
expecting to do 8?
Yeah, I mean, the endings
Oh,
were getting more and more desperate, um,
yeah,
in terms of like, this is actually an end, right? This everyone
right.
understands this is an end.
Everybody gets it, right? Oh, man.
Yeah, so blackouts definitely important. Other than laughter, Jenny, what audience sound do you revel in?
I love now, remember how I told you that, when they yell out, "Die," I don't like that. But when there's 1 to 2 audience members who are like, "That's right," like, or,
Yeah,
"Okay." Oh my gosh, I love that, because they're getting invested. They're not just wanting to laugh at it, but they're just like, "That's right," whatever's happening in the scene, they are, like, down with.
yeah.
I love cheerleaders from the from as long as they don't do too much, 'cause something but just that little well-placed, like, yeah, that's perfect.
And I think I already know the answer to this, but is there an audience sound or a sound the audience could make that would make you uncomfortable?
Yeah, yeah, I don't like the die, and also although this actually makes me laugh, there's every once in a while, because things, improv scenes can get weird, right? But every once in a while, something will happen on stage, and you just hear somebody go, "What?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't love that, but it does make me laugh. Like, "What?"
It would also be different if it was everyone in the audience
Right, no,
saying
it's
like,
just one person.
yeah.
"What? What was that?" And it's not even I don't know what it is, and that's the thing, you don't know completely what they're questioning, just like, "I don't understand what's going on," or, "Why am I here? What am I seeing?" Oh, man. But, yeah.
What's the worst venue you've played?
You've talked a lot about the round tables, right? So the round tables of death where it's a wide, yeah, conference room with round tables. That is always just hard, and anything with no mics, or almost even worse, when the mics don't work well or they
Yeah.
feedback, or you can't, like, I did a gig where we had I wanna say a 10 by 10 foot stage. It was not big, and if you stepped off that stage or got anywhere near the edge of it, it would feedback, and you're like, "It just almost be better to not have microphones." Wait, this was about the venue in particular, but can I talk about a show that was the craziest
Sure.
show that I do not think I should have been cast in? So, it was a corporate show, and it was called Jewish Men's Night Out, and so the only women in that synagogue were the servers and me on stage. Everybody else were Jewish men. Well, plus the people who were performing with, and I'm like, I feel like that scenario is the only scenario where I don't need equality. Just have men. Have men. It's a Jewish men's night out. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. I do think that they did not wanna take my suggestions. Yeah. They I don't think they were happy that I was there. I think they tolerated it because they had to. And I had a few Old Testament references, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's about it.
I think this falls under the round table, thing you were describing,
Yes.
but and I feel kinda bad for this, but there's nothing we could have done. But the show that we did for Ron's,
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about, the Tampa one,
oh,
right? It was
yeah,
Tampa. Mhm.
because that was I mean, that we did that because he'd given the money to the Greg's hernia thing.
Oh, yes, I didn't even remember that.
That
Yeah.
was, the reward, for the GoFundMe or whatever it was, and we
Oh,
went down there, and there's just the room was not and it was, like,
no,
people dressed up, and the room was just not conducive to what we were doing, in the
no.
least.
Yeah.
Jenny, what is the best note or the best words of wisdom you've received?
I was thinking about this, and there might have been others, but it's what you can remember. I remember in oh gosh, I don't remember if it was maybe it was in Lab Rats later, or I got a note, shout out to John Hunter, and he said, "Jenny, you've gotta be the villain sometimes. You're always the nice person, you're always like." I wanted to be in scenes how I was in real life, just like, "Yeah, let's make this work. Let's figure this out, man. Let's make it work." And it's
Yeah.
like, no, sometimes it's your job to make it not work. Like, sometimes it's your job to make things worse for the characters on stage. Sometimes, there's a villain and you need to play the villain sometimes. And I was like, "You're right, I need to play the villain." And it was good because I do think that that's one of the things you see with the little baby improvisers is they're just they try to play a character, but it literally ends up being just a variation of themselves every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then eventually you're just like, no, you've got to break out of this. You've got to explore other characters to be able to bring the most to the improv stage. You got to be willing to be lots of different things, and whatever the scene needs.
Yeah.
So, be the villain.
What's the least helpful note you've received? Or if you haven't really received one, what's the least helpful note you can conceive of?
I I don't like it when people think they have the improv style. Like, they're just like, "Well, you gotta find the game in it, or you've gotta, do this." Is like, no, no, there's so much more. There's so many improv styles, and you just have to find your style. So, I started to filter people's notes through, not that they're always valuable. Notes are always valuable. Don't get me wrong, but I stay away from anybody saying you always or you never, because I'm just like, really? Always? Really? Never? Because it just feels like they want you to play how they want you to play, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, I'm going to play how I play and you play how you play, and then we're going to figure out how to play together. But when people demand that you can only do improv if you feel it. You know, you can only make a move in improv if that's what you feel. It's like, well, no, then okay. Sometimes I need to use my improv brain and figure out what the scene needs and just move in that direction. You don't always have to
Yeah.
feel it. Yeah. I mean, you can feel it as a character. My character can feel something on stage, but yeah. So I find the least helpful notes when people just want to direct you into playing exactly like they play.
Yeah. Play more like me.
Least helpful. Yeah. Yeah. Or the most helpful are when they say, "Oh, I see what you're trying to go for. Maybe this could have worked," or maybe like throwing out some suggestions rather than definites, because there's a million different ways things could have gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found, and it took me a while to get there, but that for me, post was most helpful when I would ask questions versus try to give notes. So it'd be like,
Mhm.
Jenny, when you came through the door, who
Mhm.
were you trying to be?
Right.
Because,
Did I miss it? Yeah.
and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I totally didn't see that. But I knew as soon as I opened my mouth that it wasn't
Yeah.
that. And, then because then it's always about just getting on the same page as everybody else.
Yeah. And honestly, that I enjoy notes in the sense when you can fess up to something, you're like, you know what? I realize now I missed that. Now, sometimes you don't realize what you've missed, and that's where your fellow players, you need to be able to listen to them. But sometimes you just have to own something that you did that you're like, you're reflecting on your own work, going, yeah, probably could have, I could have helped that situation better.
Yeah.
Or I've seen people who were on teams together and they kind of look at each other and the scene didn't really work and they're looking in one of them just says, I feel like I didn't make anything important in that scene. And the other person goes, yeah. And this. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's so helpful because you're not throwing somebody else under the bus. You're recognizing something you could have done, or even just the royal we probably could have made this more important, or that's what I was going for, sorry that didn't come across, or just owning up that there could have been something that you did as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could have had the chicken talk.
We could have had the chicken talk. Or like I said, I could have I could have talked to the chicken and the chicken not talk back to me. I could have, spilled my guts to that chicken. See? So looking back, I mean, we could have all done, things.
Next time, feet of hen, you and me. If there were an Academy Awards for everything improv, what would you be nominated for?
I hope that I would win the award for like most supportive. I want people to feel like I'm supporting them on stage. Not only is it something, that I think is important for me, like to feel supported on stage. So because of that, I'm just like, oh yeah, I want them to know that I've got it, or I've got their back. Make the decision. I'm behind you. So yeah, probably most supportive.
And then if you're remembered 100 years from now for something improv related, what would you like it to be?
Yeah, just that I was fearless, and also that how the old quote where people don't always remember what you said to them, but they remember how you made them feel.
Yeah, yeah.
I would hope that people would remember me for making them feel important and seen and heard, not only on the stage but off the stage.
Yeah.
That they matter to me and they're valuable to me.
That's it for this interview with Jenni. You can find her playing at SAC Comedy Lab, and Offsides occasionally plays at Corner Gallery and some other stages, so check all those out the next time you're in Central Florida. Thanks for listening to Improv Autopsy.